We hear this word balance thrown around all the time, right? Find your work-life balance, eat a balanced diet. But what on earth does that actually mean when it comes to our relationships? We're always told things should be even Steven, 50-50. But what if that idea, that exact idea, is what's making us feel like something's just off? So let's really dig into what balance truly means. I want you to think about something for a second. Have you ever been in a situation, maybe it was at your job, maybe with a friend or a partner, where you just had this nagging feeling? You couldn't explain it, but you just knew something wasn't right. You know that feeling? Well, it turns out that feeling is anything but random. It's almost always a huge flashing sign pointing to a hidden imbalance. Okay, so if we're going to solve this mystery, we have to go back to the beginning. We've got to ask a really basic question. Where does this whole idea of balance even come from in the first place? Because you can't fix something if you don't know why it's broken, right?
Well, it really seems like it's just baked into our DNA. I mean, think about it. Anytime there are two or more things involved, what do? We can't help ourselves. We start comparing. We start measuring. Who's doing more work? Who's giving more? Who's getting the better deal? And that simple, almost automatic instinct, that's the little seed that grows into our entire usual idea of what balance is.
And here's something really important to get our heads around. The word relationship isn't just about romantic partners or friends. Nope. You're in a relationship with your job. You have a relationship with your dog. You even have relationships with things like your health or your passion for, say, psychology. And what's wild is that the same rules of balance we're going to talk about, they apply to every single one of these.
Okay, so this whole comparing thing, this natural instinct, it leads pretty much all of us down the same path to a super common, but honestly a totally flawed way of looking at balance. I like to call it the seesaw model.
So, you know how it is. We picture balance like a seesaw, right? On one side, there's everything you put in, all your effort, your time, your love, your contributions. And on the other side, there's what they put in. And we've been taught that balance happens when those two sides are perfectly level. But this way of thinking, it just turns life into this constant, exhausting game of keeping score. It's draining. And that leads us to this huge, game-changing question. What if we're measuring the wrong thing entirely? What if this whole me versus you scorecard is the actual reason we get that feeling that something's not right? What if the answer isn't about what's happening out there, but what's happening in here? And bam, that question right there, it opens up a totally new way of seeing everything. It's time to throw out the old definition and talk about what true balance really is. The secret, the whole key, is to stop measuring what's on the outside and start listening to what's on the inside. It's all about satisfaction.
Okay, here's the big idea. Real, actual, relational balance, it's not about comparing two people. It's a state you reach when two things are true, and they're both about how you feel. First, are you satisfied with your place in the other's life? And second, are you satisfied with the other's place in your life? That's it. Two simple questions. So you see the shift? It's not about them versus you. It's about your two separate feelings of satisfaction. The big takeaway is to just forget about the seesaw. Stop keeping score. Instead, you just look inward and you check in with yourself on those two feelings. It's not a contest. It's about getting yourself aligned. I know, this might still sound a little heady, a little abstract. So let's make it super concrete. Let's walk through some real-life examples, because this is where the light bulb really goes on, and you see just how powerful this way of thinking is. All right, let's take your job, a classic one. Using this new model, balance isn't about whether you're working 40 hours and they're paying you for 40 hours. No, it's about asking yourself two things. Question one, are you satisfied with your place in the company's life? Basically, do you feel like your work matters? Are you respected? That's one bucket. Now, question two, are you satisfied with the company's place in your life? Does it give you the money you need, the sense of purpose, the stability? You can totally see how you could have one but not the other, and that's exactly where that off feeling comes from.
And what's really cool is this works even for something that's not a person, like psychology. Let's say you just love psychology. You read about it all the time, so you're definitely satisfied with the role psychology plays in your life. It's fascinating, it helps you get people, but maybe you're a student, and you're really dissatisfied with your role in the field of psychology. You feel like you're not contributing or you're just stuck. See, the balance is off, even though you love the subject.
Or how about love? This is a big one. You might be totally happy with having a place for love in your life. You want it, you're open to it, you've made room for it, so that box is checked. But at the same time, you could be really unhappy with your actual place in love. Like maybe you feel you're not a good partner, or you just keep making the same mistakes over and over. The desire is there, but how you're actually doing it feels all wrong. That's imbalance.
And yeah, it even applies to something as intimate as sex. Someone could be perfectly satisfied with themselves during sex. They feel confident, they know what they're doing, but they might be deeply unsatisfied with the role sex plays in their life overall. Maybe it's taking up too much of their headspace, or maybe there's not enough of it, or it just feels meaningless. It's two totally separate feelings, and for true balance, they both have to feel right.
So let's circle all the way back to that feeling we started with, that nagging sense that something's just not right. It almost always boils down to this mismatch. The friction, that feeling of being off kilter, it's because you're unhappy with your role in the relationship or you're unhappy with its role in your life. And of course, sometimes it's both.
Okay, so understanding the theory is great, but what do you do with it? How can we actually use this? Well, let's turn this whole idea into a super simple tool you can start using like today, right now. It's basically a 3-step personal check-in. It's so easy. Step 1, just pick one area of your life. Could be your job, a friendship, even your relationship with your health. Step 2, ask yourself the first question. Am I satisfied with my place in its life? And then step 3, ask the second question. Am I satisfied with its place in my life? Just doing that, just asking those two questions, can shine a spotlight on exactly where the imbalance is coming from. It's incredibly clear. So that's the question I really want to leave you with. Where in your life is the balance a little off? Because once you shift your focus, once you stop comparing yourself to everyone and everything else and start just checking in with your own two feelings of satisfaction, you suddenly get this power. The power not just to feel an imbalance, but to finally understand it. And, understanding the problem, that's always the first step to actually fixing it.